Hello and welcome to another episode of my No Man's Sky exploration series. Last time we had a series in Pathfinder 1.2 and now we're going to start another exploration series in Foundation 1.1, which is hands down my favorite version of this game. And why? Well, this is what we are going to find out. Or at least what I'm trying to convince you of. I know that No Man's Sky is receiving a lot of praise nowadays. And well deserved. I mean, hands down, the support for No Man's Sky shown by Hello Games is incredible. It is very rarely seen nowadays in the gaming industry that a game receives that many updates without being charged for. And however, I think that all the updates this game has received so far was aiming at mass appeal, which is okay because Hello Games also has to make money, of course. Has to be a profitable company. I mean, they're not just living off love and air, you know. The devs need dinner on their plate. And so, of course, they needed to do something which would help No Man's Sky to recover from the backlash back in the day. And of course, the reviews improved a lot. You know, No Man's Sky became a very, very popular game. And I mean, I guess you all know the video from internet historian Dean Goodening of No Man's Sky. This is kind of the Medal of Honor for, I don't know, for an internet phenomenon when the internet historian is making a documentary about it. And No Man's Sky, oh boy, was it a phenomenon. When it was first shown in 2013, when the whole hype cycle actually started. I'm one of the few players that has never been hugely disappointed by what the game had to offer at launch. Actually, it was the experience I was looking for since the very first day. Since the very first time I booted up the game on Steam. I don't know, the excitement I felt back then. I've never had that with any other game. I was also one of the people being very hyped for this adventure, of course. But I pretty much got what I was looking for, as I already said. I wanted a game where I can explore planets freely, where I can explore a vast universe, endless exploration, beautiful planets, beautiful lush planets, but also desert worlds with hard conditions. But also, as I already said, games like these, like lush planets. Lush planets. So what is it? What is so appealing about No Man's Sky 1.1? First of all, among the vanilla fans of No Man's Sky, I mean fans that are like nostalgic like I am, who were actually happy with the day one experience, always recommend Pathfinder 1.2. The reason for that is that Pathfinder 1.2 offered the most vibrant colors, the most diverse colors, and the most cartoonish art style, I think. While still being true to itself, if you know what I mean. I think No Man's Sky is kind of an artistic game, if you ask me. For me, No Man's Sky has never been about features or base building, 1 billion icons on the screen, heart emojis popping over your head, owning pets and all that fluff we have nowadays. Oh boy, look at those old fields of grass, those fluffy fields of grass. I so miss this experience. I think I'm gonna play No Man's Sky Foundation 1.1 for a while. Also, besides streaming, maybe I'm going to start a normal playthrough, to have the original experience, like upgrading your multi-tool and all that stuff. Those colors are still unmatched today. I mean, look at the sky, like the color gradient between green to yellow and down to the horizon. The light green fluffy grass and those rose colors, purple colors, white grass patches in between, and how the sun is reflecting on those wild fluffy fields of grass. This version is so special. Yeah, but actually I lost myself while talking. I was talking about Pathfinder being like the version for people who want to try out the vanilla experience. I think that Pathfinder is the version of the game where No Man's Sky started to be a little bit out of balance somehow, like where they tried new things with the terrain generation and textures, and it didn't always work out, There were like edgy transitions between different ground textures and some visual bugs, which are also present in this version of the game, but however, the textures were more blurry. But the blurriness of the ground textures make the terrain generation more flexible somehow. Because it's easier to mix blurry textures or like unclear textures with different kinds of colors and make like blurry transitions and all that stuff. Oh boy, look at that. We walk directly into an oasis aisle coming from rocky grounds. Look at that, sunset colors. Still unmatched today. And yeah, caves. We're going to have a look at caves at a later point of time, but right now I just want to enjoy the lighting, the old colors, the old variety, which is actually, I don't know, like, I think that the variety of the vanilla version of No Man's Sky was quite underrated, if you ask me, because the variety was not done by several types of exotic planets or something, which repeat over and over and over. No, it was done a lot smarter by universally usable assets, which could be like, I don't know how to explain, but they combined better with several environments, and they weren't so in your face, if you know what I mean. And look at that. We walked directly from a little oasis or forest onto a barren area. So actually, biome diversity within one biome was already there. Actually, definitely not any worse than it is nowadays in No Man's Sky Frontiers. What I so enjoy about this version of the game is its simplicity, you know? Like, it's not trying to scream into your face what it is. No, it just is, you know? It just is. It is what it is, and it is okay what it is. While No Man's Sky Frontiers tries a little bit, well, this all started basically with Origins. Origins, like the update, which was supposed to fix variety, which got lost with Next, with No Man's Sky Next, where they tuned down planets completely in favor of multiplayer and base building and all that stuff, you know. And Origin was supposed to be the update which kind of fixes that, like the lost variety, but I don't want to talk bad about No Man's Sky because it's still my favorite game, you know. I've spent 1,500 hours in No Man's Sky, which is insane. I am insane. But something's off in Origins. They still haven't managed to bring back the old the old magic from the older versions of the game, or concept arts, or E3, you know. For one reason. For one simple reason. They just try too hard, you know. They just try too hard, way too hard. Like, they try to show you extreme terrain, and then they have those biomes with extreme mountains and, you know, like clouds high mountains, but they all look the freaking same. You know, what is the point when you have like different kinds of terrain, but it's so predictable, you know? You just land on a planet and you think, oh yeah, okay, that's a mountainous one. You know, and the mountains always have the same shape. You have like kind of high edgy mountains and high smooth mountains, and you know, the way they introduce this is not done with care, you know what I mean? It's like they try to make sure that the new features and new terrain generation was directly screaming in your face, like, hey, look at that! Here's high mountains. Love me. Here you have high mountains. Isn't that what you wanted? High mountains. You were screaming for high mountains. And then Hello Games is doing that, you know? And they do it every time, you know? When the community is asking for something, they just do it, but in such a predictable and repetitive way to make sure that everyone has the same smooth experience, you know? That the whole No Man's Sky charm got lost on the way, you know? Like, for example, people asked for better underwater generation. And what have they done? They just added a bunch of exotic assets, underwater assets, which are all the same, you know? They're just all the same. They're too... The assets they added, like all those exotic biomes and all that stuff, it is simply too much in your face, you know? Like, those assets are not universally usable. They're not properly done for the human mind, you know, which is very good at recognizing repetition or recognizing patterns, you know. This was done a lot better in older versions of the game, where assets and textures, yeah, look at those blurry textures, for example, they're universally usable, and And I don't know, the human mind doesn't recognize or re-recognize these assets too much. Like, not so much like reflecting salt crystals in the water, or this glowing asset, that glowing asset, or this digged out bone, or that exploding gas plants. Man, this is a topic. Exploding gas plants. Fuck. Oh, sorry. They're so annoying. They're so annoying, and they really... Sometimes I land on a beautiful planet in Frontiers. I mean, the whole thing started actually with No Man's Sky Visions, when they started to add more hazardous plants. And they're all the freaking same. I mean, they put them on every biome, and the whole biome is full of those exploding gas plants, and you find them on each and every planet. And they're so in your face, so repetitive. They have such a repetitive pattern to them. They're so specific and predefined, like handcrafted assets. I can't do this anymore. I'm so bored out by those new versions of this game, which, I mean, No Man's Sky used to be so experimental, you know, an experience. And what they've done is they watered it all down in favor of pop culture features, which I understand, because they had to do it for monetary reasons, of course. But why? Why everything goes to shit that I like, you know? I just cannot have nice things because everything has to appeal to the masses, you know? Another example, I mean, we don't only have to talk about No Man's Sky while I explore a little bit here. I mean, for example, Diablo 2, yeah? Diablo 2 was dark, was evil, you know, it had kind of a complex skill system. I mean, not very complex, not Path of Exile complex, but quite complex. And then came Diablo 3. The perfect example of what is going wrong with games nowadays. A completely watered down mess, like going from Dark Diablo to this cartoonish World of Warcraft nonsense with an easy skill system where you never regret anything, you can just switch skills the way you want, you know? And kind of the same thing happened with No Man's Sky with each update. I mean, the game receives a lot of praise, and I understand that, but it is not No Man's Sky anymore. For me, it became something else, you know, like Fortnite in space, or... I mean, sorry for me being sarcastic, but... Come on, fireworks, heart emojis, rainbow traces from ships, from the ship exhaust, soap bubble jetpacks. Come on. Just look at this experience here. Just walking a calm, lush planet. Oh, yeah. One downside: milestone pop-ups, which you cannot skip. Yeah, there's a lot of quality of life improvements which were necessary. I agree, but also many that weren't necessary. For example, calling your ship. Why? I mean, why do you need to call your ship? I mean, where's the challenge then? Where's the challenge going out there, explore? You cannot get lost, you know? Just call your ship and everything is fixed, you know? That is so killing immersion and exploration. This all started with Atlas Rises. Yeah. All this had to go for mass appeal. Don't get me wrong, I appreciate nowadays No Man's Sky for other reasons, you know? But it is not my No Man's Sky anymore. And I hope that you're not going to beat me up for it. You know what? While I talk, we are going to have a look at another planet. How about that? Let's explore another planet so you don't get bored by the visuals. But enjoy the fluffy fields of grass. Love it. Absolutely love it. I love the colors, those glowing skies, which are still not present in the game. I mean, they try to somehow fix it, but it's just a mess, in my opinion. They just try too hard again. It doesn't look organic anymore, you know? It looks too forced, everything. And here, it looks like, I don't know, it just all combines together, you know? Like the whole thing it's like No Man's Sky Foundation is just No Man's Sky as a whole, you know? And you actually feel like with Frontiers, it's like several unfinished fragments. All nice on paper, but basically just a watered down mess, if you ask me. I mean, No Man's Sky is trying to introduce features which other games do way better. So I don't understand why Hello Games doesn't dare to focus on what No Man's Sky does best, and this is clearly the exploration experience. This is where No Man's Sky is superior to any other game, to any other base building game, to any other space game which is focused on economy and ships and that stuff, you know, like EVE or Elite Dangerous, you know. Why they haven't improved much on that. Actually, the complete opposite. In my opinion, they still messed it up. Sorry to say it so hard. It doesn't mean I hate on No Man's Sky or nowadays No Man's Sky or something. I still play nowadays No Man's Sky and I enjoy it, you know. But you gotta ask yourself, what is the reason that I always go back to No Man's Sky Foundation or Pathfinder? Why do I always look at those screenshots and feel nostalgic and just feel the need to go back to those older versions? Why? And I'm not alone, you know. Whenever someone is posting a beautiful screenshot of No Man's Sky Vanilla, like 1.1, 1.2, or 1.0, 1.03, you know, those people actually get a lot of positive feedback, like, wow, this game used to be beautiful. I didn't know that. You know, new players always say, wow, the planets, hands down, were better. But I enjoy the features. Okay, then why do you even play No Man's Sky? When you enjoy base building and, I don't know, base building, farming, economy. I mean, what is the point of No Man's Sky then, if you're not into exploration and just care about the features and the quality of life improvements? Anyway, I think that Hello Games should have taken a different approach on updating the game. They should have stayed true to their original vision. Like the original vision which actually sold the game in the beginning, you know? Which was diverse exploration and not base building, heart emojis or pets. Nothing against those features, you know? If it only wasn't on the cost of the exploration experience, you know? They put so much development time into those pop culture features, which are great for marketing purposes, you know? Which are great for Steam reviews, but you have to admit that the very soul of No Man's Sky got lost on the way. Look at this here, we have a completely barren, lush world, which they kind of brought back in Origins by those grasslands, you know, which don't have trees. But you see, this is what I mean. I was on one planet, and this planet here is completely different. Like, it is actually the opposite of this former lush planet that we were on. I hope my Thoughttrain is okay for you. Oh, look at that. A vast ocean. Wow. Wow. Look at this. This is epic. This is really epic. And I really like the more realistic water textures. Oh, by the way, let's explore some underwater. I like those vast, empty worlds, you know. I kind of miss them in No Man's Sky Origins. I mean, they tried to bring some of it back, but again, with too many predefined assets, like, for example, that most grasslands are accompanied by one of those exotic object, like I don't know, those crashed space balloons, or I don't know, like this War of the World stuff, or big predefined rocks, you know. It's not that you don't find those predefined assets in this version of the game, but I don't know, the way they're used is a little bit smarter. It's not so much in your face. Oh, look at that. This has like a Caribbean flair now, how the sun is like kind of shining through the water to the ground. And actually, I mean, it's not always pretty, but I love the randomness. I love I don't know, I like the charm that it is created by math. You know, this is what you feel. And nowadays, No Man's Sky is so predefined and mainstream and repetitive, you know. Feels like really many times like Fortnite nowadays, and which is basically a shame, because I love this isolation of vanilla No Man's Sky. Let's explore some underwater, and let's talk about underwater. I remember when they introduced more underwater assets in Abyss, because they completely got rid of underwater structures, or almost completely got rid of underwater structures with No Man's Sky Next. Those are the kind of decisions I never understood. And then they reintroduced underwater landscapes, but with such assets which are just not, I don't know, they're not convincing, you know? They're too predefined, you know, those glowing, I don't know, those glowing balls, or salt, reflecting salt crystals, or you know what I mean. Or those volcano things, and look at that. We used to have all those huge assets. It was already good to explore oceans, you know. And I can tell you that oceans were quite varied back in the day, back in this version of the game. Highly underappreciated, you know. Look at that. And those kinds of assets which are not just glowing and shiny and animated, and, you know, nothing to collect, nothing predefined. This is the kind of stuff which makes exploration interesting, and not finding the same resources and plants and exotic assets over and over and over again. Just look at that, how I dive into that cave. Nothing, absolutely nothing is better about nowadays No Man's Sky, except the quality of life improvements, yes. The cleaner look, okay. Okay, if you're into graphics, okay. If you think graphics is all, okay, fine. If you need your first person mode, okay, I accept that, but this version is like what No Man's Sky. I don't know, this is like kind of the fabric of No Man's Sky, you know? No Man's Sky Foundation. Just look at that. I don't think it's so ugly, like many people say it is. And I don't know, it's like, in nowadays No Man's Sky, you land on a planet and you immediately have that feeling, okay, I've seen that before. Okay, this is this kind of mountain terrain planet. Okay, there's a deer running underwater. Is it supposed to do that? Who wants to tell? It's an alien planet. Okay, guys. I think this is where my thought train ends for today. I hope you enjoyed a little bit and that you... I mean, I'm looking forward on one or two comments. I hope I can provoke a discussion. And please don't get me wrong, I don't hate on nowadays No Man's Sky or anything. But these are my points of critique, you know. That No Man's Sky... The focus of No Man's Sky has shifted too far away from its original vision. And in my opinion, like versions like Foundation, Pathfinder, they were visually a lot closer to what No Man's Sky was supposed to be. So, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, more or less. And I don't know, I talk without a script, so please forgive me if I got lost in my monologues. Wish you a pleasant day. See you next time. Bye.